So today's pick a card is really just for my own personal joy, really. so um, we're going to be looking at past lives, but specifically a past life where you were spiritually awakened and a leader of some sort. And my intention behind this is just that I wanted to go into a life that was really good, where you were safe, where you were very consciously aware, you know, ascended, whatever kind of wording you kind of like to use around that, and there isn't a healing needed. So traditionally, if I do a past life reading, I'm always looking to heal anything that comes through, but my intention is to find a life where it was good and you were safe and things were awesome. So that's why there's no healing. So normally I focus more on present moment stuff, inner child wounding, you know, getting connected in your body, empowering yourself, like that is normally like kind of like the serious work that kind of is important. So that's why I say this reading is just more for joy and fun. And it's okay just to have fun sometimes, but it is important to make sure you are connecting with yourself and making sure your self-care is up to date. But this reading, we're switching it up. So the theme I was getting for this is that it could be very Egyptian. Doesn't mean it's going to be for everyone. But as I was choosing cards to use for the piles, I was so drawn to the Isis deck by Alana Fairchild. I have my Anubis Oracle cards, which I find they're very intense. Like when I pull these cards, I feel like I actually have to just grab the guidebook and read the history behind it and all that, because I just find there's just so much there. So they're kind of more of my very serious, deep meaning oracle cards that I use, knowing that I'll probably have to use the guidebook. So that is that. And then this deck here is the Earth Power Oracle card, and I'm actually going to use these cards to ask for clarity about the region or the area the past life was in, and the lessons you kind of were teaching others. So I'm excited to use these cards. Also, they feel like very powerful, deep cards. I haven't used them too much. I only recently got them, and I've only used them, I think, once on the YouTube channel so far. So they're pretty fresh for me. And then lastly, I'm going to also pull cards from the Alchemy guidebook. And it's so interesting. When I was just thinking about questions to ask for picking each pile, it said that I had to ask what your divine alchemy was in that life. And those are the words it used. So we'll see what they mean by that. But yeah. So I'm actually just going to pull some cards, I think, from this one to be your pile selection. And maybe I'll just go over the breakdown. So the first thing we're going to be just asking in general for this card reading is what past life were you in a spiritually awakened and leadership role? So that's what we're asking for. And then we're going to ask what your divine alchemy was, and where in the world you were, and what did you teach others? That's sorry, my printing's really bad. I wrote it down in a note, but I couldn't read my own writing. So yeah, what did you teach others? And I just really feel good about this reading. I feel like it's going to be one of the classic like past lives where they're really interesting, and they just I don't know, they just feel really powerful. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to kind of do the classic clear you a little bit with some sound, ground you all before you choose your piles, and just really make sure that if you're going to choose choose one of these piles, that you ask yourself for a past life where you were spiritually awakened and a leader. Yeah, because that's what we're looking for. Not any like challenging lives or anything like that. Not in this reading, at least. So anyways, I'll grab that pyramid now and I'll play it for you. Here we go. Okay, and now I'll just shuffle the card here so that you all have pile selections to choose from using the Isis deck. And if you're still not feeling quite grounded, feel free to just take a few deep breaths, connect in with your body, feel your feet on the ground. That usually really helps me feel a little more grounded. Or some people like to visualize roots growing down from their feet all the way down to the center of the earth. Yeah, you know, whatever your daily practice is or your usual practice is that helps you feel grounded. Okay, so I guess we've got pile 1 there, pile 2, and pile 3. Oops, not quite. There we go. Okay, I'll just put that over there. All right, so here you have it. So for pile 1, we have this Isis card here. And on the back it says, magic and ritual. Effect in the external world can be created through inner practice. Heart-centered ritual can support your inner path in the physical world. You are encouraged to enhance your power with regular practice as you grow in grace, love, ability, and wisdom, applying your inner beauty to transform your outer world. So magic and ritual, pile 1. Pile 2, this one here. Man, I feel like Isis is the perfect card selection for leadership. She seems so strong in all her cards. So here it says Divine Guardian. This is a time of significant spiritual growth and healing for you. You are protected during these times by the love and strength of Divine Mother Isis. Relax and allow your transformation to happen. Your Divine Guardian protects you now. Let go. Trust unconditionally in what is happening for you, as there is only divine love beneath the surface of your present situation. And lastly, pile 3. And it says, Key of Life. The Ankh pertains new, or sorry, the Ankh pertains, maybe? No, I think it says pretends. New life being born through you now. This new life being born in whatever form will enrich your life, bringing you more into the wholeness and fulfillment. Do not give up on your creative destiny. Stay with it. You are flowing in the right direction and you have spiritual support from the unseen worlds. Let it happen. Nice. All right. So I'll give you a couple more minutes here if you're just needing a closer look at them or you haven't quite decided on which pile has a message for you. All right. I'll see you in a little bit here. Hello, pile 1. So I just pulled some cards for you and we're going to look at them together. So the pile you had selected it by, or sorry, the card you had selected this pile by was this one here that says Magic and Ritual. And then I pulled a few more cards just to get a feel of like your energy in this past life. And you remember we were looking for one that was where you were spiritually awakened and a leader in some way. So yeah, okay, actually maybe I'll show these to you a little bit better. So we have this one here and it says Spirit of Isis. We have this one here which says the Dark Healing Chamber. Most challenging task is to take courage in both hands and journey within to meet our own dark self and begin the healing task of bringing love, acceptance, and light to the to it. The sacred purpose of any enemy, within or without, is to push us to venture inwards, to seek and heal the darkness within. Really interesting. I keep thinking of meteorite kind of rock when I see this. Specifically, tektite. Not moldavite, but tektite for some reason. And the other card here is Serpent of Fire. Do not access your current ability to based on past standards, as they no longer apply to you. You are stronger and more powerful now than you have been before. You need to learn afresh what you are capable of, and Isis helps you now. So very interesting. Okay, so this is kind of the themes of who you were that I'm seeing, and then let's just also, let's look at your divine alchemy as well at the same time here. So we have conjunction, which is very balanced base card. We have alchemical wedding, which once again is talking about balancing the yin and the yang. That's crazy. We have virgin's milk, very interesting, and sugar, super cool. Oh, sorry, I have to sneeze. That was random. Okay. You know, it's really interesting because as I was shuffling the Isis cards for this pile, I had some very similar cards come out that I have literally just done a reading for a friend around a past life. And in that past life, it had come up that there was like a wave of people who came in at the same time as she did in that past life to basically balance out the masculine and feminine energy. It was back way back. It's interesting. Like if I had to put a time frame, there was sort of like we'll say like an Egyptian era where people were a lot more higher consciousness, and then there's like a different era where people were very primitive and very animalistic and instinctualistic. And this past life, I feel like you were very much like my friend in the same kind of wave she was in. Yeah, I'm like trying to tune in a little bit more, but it makes sense actually because I decided to do this card reading, and I was all excited to use all these decks, and then it ended up taking me too long to get to this card reading, so I ended up pausing this, doing the reading for my friend. Took a long time, and now we're in the next morning when I started to do this reading, and I just kept feeling like there was going to be someone else who kind of resonated with the reading I gave her, and I was almost thinking like it's too bad I didn't just record this because I feel like I'm gonna re-say it in my pick a card reading tomorrow. So anyways, to catch you up on all the details that you don't know that I know, and keep hindering it because I feel like that must be like, okay, already just tell me what the details are. Yeah, so I will I'll just explain sort of what I had seen her reading, and then I'll tune in just to see where it's different for this pile, because it's funny enough when I see this virgin milk card, it's telling me that I think you were a slightly different wave than she was, but you were still like created by the same beings and so on and so forth. So anyways, big moral of the story is there is like this council of, I guess some people call it like the Galactic Council of Beings, came together to try to help balance out the energy on Earth. So this is kind of a time where I was saying at the start here, where people were very, very animalistic. Like I don't even know if that quite describes it well enough. It's almost like people were so in like a primitive base chakra state, but not like a healthy base chakra, very, very animalistic. So like people would fight each other all the time, attack each other all the time. People didn't live very long because they were just killing each other out. Like they were so in the bloodlust, and the scarcity kind of chakras, like the survival is probably the one I should say, survival. Like I feel like rape was very, very prevalent. killing kids, killing all ages. Like, it's just, it doesn't even seem like the human race. And I know some people are like, oh, humans still do all that, but I mean, like, tuning into this energy, this is next level. This is like I don't know. We didn't really have consciousness then, I would say. So anyways, this galactic council designed, literally designed a human body that could come and help teach people this balance here, this how to balance, how this higher consciousness between this masculine and feminine energy, because they weren't even told, like, it wasn't even that they were stuck in the masculine, because it was a more primitive form of the masculine. Like, this is like, we really don't have anything quite like this today, thank goodness. That's awesome to see, because we don't this is such a chaotic energy, and it's just so I don't know, like, there wasn't a lot of growth, there wasn't any opportunity for growth. Like, we literally were just killing each other too fast for anyone to, like, grow wisdom and find a better way to do things. So they built sort of a human, or of like a group of people to send to this planet to help with this energy. And they also say there was like this other group of beings who were also influencing that primitive energy within us. So it's almost like they utilized our fear and aggression that we had a lot of back then. We just didn't know any better. We just were very fresh, like, beings who were still very animal-like. And they were really playing on that. So the Galactic Council came in to try to kind of help us out so that there would be an opportunity for consciousness to grow. So why is this coming up for you? Because you agreed, and I almost wonder if I can see what group you came from, but I don't think so. It is a collective reading, so it maybe doesn't really matter the exact origins of your soul coming into this, because it was a bunch of different other planetary beings, we'll say. It wasn't just one group. And it's so interesting, because the thing that came through was that, like, a lot of the animals on Earth are some sort of DNA relatives to other planetary beings. So, like, for example, I saw like these bird-looking people, and they looked very humanoid. And they were actually the most compassionate with us, with the humans. Like, they were the ones who, like, they had a lot of heart energy and didn't like what was happening to us. And then there was other Galactic Council members that were helping us, but they didn't really have the same heart energy. It was like they were helping us, but they didn't really have compassion for us or grace for us. And if you could feel into the energy of the people at the time, it kind of does make sense, because, like, I can't stress enough, I keep saying it, like, we were very animalistic. We were not even like animalistic in like a loving dog way. We were animalistic in like a starving animal, just desperate for anything and kind of aggressive way. So anyways, there's this this Galactic Council created the perfect person that would be perceived almost as, how do I put it? It's like the people were very beautiful. The men and the woman that were sent in this wave of people, I do think it was more of a physical form that it took. And I feel like there's a lot of reasons why, like, they're not all that I totally can understand, but they like really like explained that there was like, they had to appeal to the animalistic nature of us. And they want, like, because there was such an out balance between the consciousness and in like unconsciousness, they had to like calculate every detail. Like, they were saying like the jaw shape of like everything mattered, and there was almost like a glowiness to the people who came in from these other planets. Like, it's like you were essentially, for lack of better words, like stargated to planet Earth. So you were not born on Earth in this life. You were perfectly created in a physical body, was perfectly created for you to step into. I really should add that in. All your spirits came from different planets, different places. but you chose to step into this physical body that was very, very calculated and made for it to have the most impact and to be best received here. So actually, when I see this Divine Alchemy card, I can't help but see it's like, here's like all you guys, your little star bodies, and then it's, I don't know why, it's just like you came from out of space into this world, and it just virgin's milk, like it really just, I wonder if most of them were female. And it's not totally all female though, because every time I tune into that, I'm like, no, I see men. But the more common one was female. I think it was just because statistically they would have lasted longer. They would have been more likely to survive at that time, because the men just, I feel like they showed me again and again, like boys died as boys. Like it was very rare for a lot of them make it into like, I don't know, like 20s or something like that. Like it was just crazy, the slaughter that was happening. Yeah, so it's not even like you were like this wave of people came in to just teach the feminine energy. It was literally to teach consciousness, because it was almost like teaching them. Like it's so hard to explain this, because it's like being connected to the energy of it. I'm like, it just makes so much sense to me that like teaching us anything, any emotional awareness would be incredible, because we just were so out of the emotion and in only the survival. So these cards really just say it, like this wave of people came in to teach. Yeah, just like a healthy, conscious way of being connected to the feminine, being connected to the masculine, being conscious. Like I really can't say that enough. Like it is a huge task. It is a huge task. And that's even why these people, the physical body couldn't have been born on Earth, because it's almost like if there was any ego, this wave of people were not allowed to have children. Like it was literally made in their physical bodies to not be able to have children on planet, because it was literally like the mission was so clear. If you could just shift people into a little bit of consciousness or awareness, then you could stop the slaughter. And I actually do feel like this wave of people was quite successful. And I mean, it did take years. Like, I feel like I see like it was a very long term plan. And a lot of these people, they didn't, like, I think they just left planet when they were done. But most, like, I feel like if you've ever heard of people saying some people lived for hundreds of years, that would have been some of these people who came from this, like, galactic council, formed bodies. It like sounds so weird when I say that, but it's just like, they just needed a lot of support. And I feel like a lot of people here were put into positions of counselship, for lack of a better word. So it's almost like through showing, like, deterring wars. Like, it sounds so funny to say that, but like if you like one of these people would come in, one of these galactic beings would come in, and they would literally just talk like a normal person would, try to talk through two kids fighting in a schoolyard. And it's just like, that is just like the how little consciousness we had as a human race or species then. So it's just like doing that stopped like so much manslaughter. It's so interesting. Like, it's so fascinating to see this and to see how we are today and be like, wow, I think we've been pretty hard on ourselves. We've come so far. Yeah. And yeah, just such a big theme about whole purpose here being to teach consciousness, to teach awareness, to teach self-control, self-mastery. But it was just on such a different level than we would consider self-mastery today. So I feel like I have heard before people say like, we just weren't that conscious before. We couldn't handle certain levels of consciousness. And when I see this type of past life, it really makes sense to me. It was like we literally had to get out of the extreme survival based chakra and like worked up slowly. So I keep saying that we've come so far. Anyways, more about you. So the other thing that is interesting about this like wave of people, like I had actually never tuned into this until literally yesterday, when I was tuning into it with my my friend, and following around specifically her life there. I did see that like after that there was like another wave of these beings who were to have children. So I do feel like you were still part of that initial wave where they didn't have children on the planet because to have to care for a child just wasn't the role. Like your job was literally to stop wars, and to have a child in that wasn't going to be serving the purpose. Like it was a really big job that you all took on. So the next wave, so I almost feel like it's like they took the same DNA that they had to create this wave of people, and then they made a different slightly program where these people were to have children and kind of help bring consciousness into the human race by like literally like breeding with us. And like it sounds so funny to say that, but like to bring in more DNA or different DNA that held consciousness in it. So it's so fascinating because I actually do feel like there would be some people on this planet today who would still be blood relatives of these beings, like this second wave of beings who came in. Yeah, I don't know. It's really cool to think about, and I'm so drawn to this tektite thing, tektite. And you know what? I can't help but wonder if these beings use crystals a lot. Yeah, you know what? It's so interesting because I almost wonder if for these beings who were very extraterrestrial in nature, and that's the other thing I want to add on, these people were not harmed in their lives on Earth when they came in, because they were like just like the way in which these people were designed. There was like they almost seemed godly. They weren't worshipped, but something about their energy was so high that if someone would feel intimidated, and it's almost like an alpha thing where like since we were in such a primitive animalistic state, like we would sense that unconsciously, and we would not harm these people because we just knew that there was something about them that was different. I don't know quite how to explain it, but all of that was key in how they like literally designed these people. And they kept saying like they were very symmetrical. Like they really like they knew that beauty would be respected by these people because they just were so primitive in their in what they valued. It's so interesting. But anyways, I want to talk about this crystal thing. Is I almost feel like these people would have carried tektite. I know moldavite is such a popular thing, but I'm like, no, I really feel like it's tektite. It feels darker than moldavite. I think that's it. Like it was like I feel like I just see like this shiny, glowy meteorite that is like it looks almost as black as obsidian or tourmaline, but it's meteorite. And I feel like they carried these around to help keep their energy connected to where they were from. And I don't know, it almost to me felt like a magnet. Like it almost like kept their physical form and their spiritual form healthy while they were on Earth, because I keep getting like the energy here was so crazy, so different, and so chaotic that I do feel like they would have pendants of this or staffs. Like I keep seeing this and I'm like, I think they would actually carry like staffs that had a big like almost egg-shaped rock of this meteorite, and I almost feel like it glowed with like blue lines in it or something. I know that's really weird and specific, but I keep seeing that. Yeah, really interesting. So anyways, the sugar card is so interesting because I ask and I'm like, does this literally mean like just teaching us the sweetness of life? And I think it does, like, because we only were experiencing like I always call them like the blood lust emotions: survival, taking, stealing, pillaging, raping, killing. Like they're so like addictive and gross. Like the energy that comes when you do that action is very addictive. Um, and I feel like it was almost like they were all drug addicts hooked on this. And I feel like part of the mission was to teach there is enjoyment and joy, and there's you don't need to be in such a primitive state. So although this might seem like not that big of a deal to some of you. It is a huge deal. It is literally because of this first wave of people that we are the way we are today. And like I said, like this was decades. Like I literally feel like when one person came, it was like you would be there for like 500 years and you would see a little shift, and it would be like, whew, they finally learned, they finally caught on. Because like when people are just dying that fast and their lives are going that quickly because they're killing each other, it's like, it's so interesting. Like it's just like it was so our own humans' faults. Which is like, we're very different and very silly and very just like a different species. I just keep coming back to that. We just feel like a different species. And even when I try to talk about inner child, like there wasn't even an inner child in there. Like we actually were like, we didn't have enough consciousness to even have like an inner child at the time. So it's really neat to see that. And also just very confirming also for me to see this and be like, this has come up twice. And I just feel like, I don't know, it's just very interesting to me. I really feel like this was a really big role in how we all started. Okay, look at that, alchemist. I love that. So since they told me the word to use is what is your divine alchemy, and I love that one of the cards that came through literally says alchemist, wisdom keeper, grandmother. And then we have over here holy longing, desire, instinct, sexuality. We have fierce compassion and healer. So I actually just feel like these cards are further confirming like what your purpose was here. So these cards I had pulled for what you were teaching people, and the sensuality and instinct. That's like perfect. It's perfect definition of what I was talking about, of like these people like just following such primitive instincts and not even like knowing there's even a nicer way to experience it. Like for example, like I was saying, like I feel like it was very like people would rape. They were just so stuck in like they doing it the most aggressive way, doing it the most primitive way, and even feel like coming in teaching others that you could have relationship with another human, not just like own them, bulldoze them, like it's so interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, it was so big. It was so big to teach this to people. And then wisdom keeper and grandmother, to me, that also just confirms like when I see the grandmother card, like first wave, first of your kind of birthed this new form of human that we are today. So I really love that. So cool is what I want to say to that. And then this card, transformation. It's like a cat floating down on 3 snakes, and it says fierce compassion and healer. So that is the big thing that was the game changer, right? Is like I feel like a thing like compassion didn't exist on the realm of the earth, and having people like yourself and these other people who came in at the same time embodying compassion then mirrored it to other things, other people, and almost like brought that energetic onto this earth so that it was then possible to experience and obtain within ourselves. It's just so fascinating. It's almost like a theory that like if no one's seen it before on earth, we have a hard time creating something we've never seen. But if we're inspired by something we see, we can then play off of that and do something different, but still very inspired by that root idea. I hope that makes sense. I almost feel like with humans, I don't think we're always the most creative. We usually need to see something to inspire that. But I mean, I don't want to limit anyone, but it's just like having taken art classes and stuff like that, I feel like I've always seen that. Like I'll see someone who turns it into their own creative thing, but if they hadn't seen that other person's thing, they never would have had the idea to go in the direction they went. So I don't know. I just find that really interesting. I really feel like it was important to bring that frequency on Earth, to have it possible and accessible on Earth. Okay. And then lastly here, I did pull, and sorry, actually, I just want to say, like, even the person flying in and bring it to the ground, also I feel like just confirms that in my mind about having to bring that energy. So I had asked for where on Earth, a place on Earth that you were, during this past life. And the card that I got for it was this. It says, so sorry. Fushimi Inari Grand Shrine. I nourish myself and I'm open and completely abundant. I am fertile in every way and I'm joyful and happy. So I'm actually just going to look up where in the world this is. Specifically, it says in the guidebook. Okay, so it says that this place is located in Kyoto, Japan. It's a representation of growth, fertility, joy, protection, and nourishment. And this shrine specifically was founded in 711 AD by family immigrant Korean farmers who donated some of their land to the imperial family when Kyoto was founded. Everything around this temple was found to flourish and prosper, from animals to rice fields, to the families there. So it was seen as a place where abundance was very, very present, I guess, is for lack of better words. So I do find it interesting. So in Kyoto, Japan, very, very interesting. Love it. Yeah, I'm trying to see if that actually some of these have like a lot of interesting facts, but this one doesn't have too many interesting facts about it. So it just says, I nourish myself and I open and completely abundant. Sorry, I nourish myself and I am open and completely abundant. I am fertile in every way. I am joyful and happy. Super, super neat. Love that. I also love that it has maintained its reputation of being such a prosperous place since then. So it just feels like the land is very, very blessed there. And protected. I don't know, I keep seeing that. I feel like it's very protected. And I also feel like there is, I don't know, this is going to sound very weird. I feel like there's like portals there, or vortexes of energy or something. So and I mean that in the best of way. Like I almost feel like a lot of things traveled there. Yeah, to help the people. I don't know, way back in the day. Maybe probably even before this was a temple. Because that's what I was going to say. Like this kind of energy, this is very, very like I don't know how old the world is, but it was like before we were organized in any way. Like, yeah, it's just much older. That your past life was there. And then this is a card I pulled asking if there's any place on earth that has the same energy now as it did for you in this past life. And it says magnetic South Pole. It is acceptable not to know. Mystery is part of life. Acceptance allows me to begin to grow. And I'll look up that one. It says it's continent of Antarctica. I know the thing I'm so drawn to is I just feel like here you would be close to like literally extraterrestrial, or whatever you like to call them, star seeds, star beings, communication. I don't know why. When I look into this aurora, I just feel like there's just so much energy of being able to communicate with the higher realms here. Yeah. So interesting. And I also feel like they're saying there's something too about the isolation here. There isn't a lot of other people's energies. There's no density there like there is in other places. It's still very wild and easy to communicate. They keep saying that. It's really easy to communicate here. So this says the earth has many layers, including an iron core. The earth spins on its axis. The inner core spins as well, and it spins at a different rate than the outer core. This creates a dynamo effect, a kind of current within the core, and it is in this process that creates the Earth's magnetic field. Imagine a planet-sized electromagnet, and that's what we have here. Since the Earth's magnetic field is not exactly symmetrical, the north and south magnetic poles are not antipodal. A line drawn from one to the other does not pass through the geometric center of the Earth. What's more, the magnetic poles wander. The magnetic south pole moves due to constant fluctuations and changes in the Earth's magnetic field. Additionally, due to polar drifts, the pole is shifting northwest by close to 15 kilometers by year. In 2005, it was calculated to lie at, okay, so there's a bunch of numbers, just off the coast of Adelie Land, French Antarctica. The rate to discover the South Pole included attempts to reach the magnetic South Pole. A number of unsuccessful expeditions failed to find the pole, but on the 16th of January 1909, 3 men, including Australia's Douglas Mawson from Sir Ernest Shackleton's Nimrod expedition, claimed to have found the magnetic South Pole, which was at the same time located on land. However, there is now some doubt as to whether their location was correct. Yeah, interesting. But I mean, I like these cards, but I don't always feel like the guidebook maybe is as ethereal as I would like it to be. But I really feel like communication is very easy here. That's what I keep getting. Communication to the outer dimensions or realms or whatever you want to call it. Interstellar, whatever you subscribe to. It's easier there. The energy is just supercharged. Okay. Yeah. Is there anything I didn't answer? Let's see. I wrote down these things. What did you do in this? What did you teach? Yeah. What is your divine alchemy? I think we talked about that enough. And definitely a leader. Definitely a leader. So super cool. I hope you found that interesting. I found it super interesting. And I find it so interesting that like information like this just keeps coming out easier and easier these days, or at least I personally find that. Yeah, I'm not too sure why, but I just get very curious about that. All right, well, hopefully you enjoyed this reading. If you did, I always appreciate it if you leave like a like or a comment. It really helps the video get more views, or specifically this video get more views, and that's just really awesome. So thanks. You guys have a good one. Hello, pile 2. I am so sad to say this, but I actually had almost completely, I should say, didn't look at these cards, read your whole pile, and then my camera will do this thing where the batteries now will say full, and then randomly it will die, and then it erases the last thing I recorded. So I actually already read your reading, but it is completely gone now. Oh, it's so sad when that happens. So, okay. So sorry about this. I always feel like when this happens and I read your cards, I skip a lot of original detail because I had given you already a 30-minute card reading, and now we're starting from scratch. So, all right. I just try to trust that maybe I said something really weird or in a weird way, and that's why it happened. I don't know. Anyways, moving on. Pile 2. Welcome to your card reading round 2. Yes, you had originally chosen this card here, which was the Divine Guardian card. And I had chosen these cards here. Well, I shouldn't say chosen. I pulled all these cards right before I started your reading. And they gave me more information on the origins of the past life, or I shouldn't even say origins, like what was going on. And I found it really neat that in pile 1, I had sort of talked about this original, I don't know, sort of like extraterrestrial humanoid being created by this galactic council to help bring in basically human awareness, consciousness is maybe the word I'm looking for, higher consciousness, because at the time the human species was quite animalistic. We were killing each other a lot. We were very territorial. We weren't living very long. We were really stuck in sort of this really survival, fearful, animalistic state, and we were kind of destroying ourselves. So I see that there's like this galactic council of a bunch of different I don't know what word you prefer, like beings, or I don't know, other planet beings. That's basically what they were, who came together and they were like, all right, how can we start to help these humans learn consciousness, basically. And the reason why they stepped in, from what I could see, is one, that we were going to extinct ourselves, and two, there was another secondary group who kind of came in and had like kind of encouraged us to act more primitive, more kind of I just say like kind of like that fearful survival instincts. Like there's like a bloodthirsty category of emotions. I don't know a better word for it at this point in my life. If you've got a suggestion, let me know. Because it's just like an addictive energy, sort of like a drug or something, or alcohol or caffeine. Like it feels very addictive, the actual energy attached to it. So we were very addicted to killing. We were very addicted to taking things. We were very in scarcity mindset. We did not have like loving relationships with partners. Like it was very, very violent and aggressive. And like I said, we just like killed each other all the time, and it was just getting a little ridiculous. So what I saw for this pile is that you were like the children of the second wave of people sent. So you were literally kind of the first people, like, if for lack of better words, like star people who were created to be birthed by mixing with humans. That sounds really funny to say. So like your like grandparents were the first wave to help plant the seed of compassion and consciousness on the planet so that you could survive, essentially, or thrive when it was your time to come. So your parents weren't born on Earth, they were sort of just brought here. And I really want to be clear when I say this. So it's like the physical body was created out of planets, but then the souls chose to come into the physical bodies. Basically, it was people, as you've always heard, like who were very compassionate, who harnessed a lot of wisdom, and just by being on Earth would bring some of that vibration or frequency to the planet of Earth. So those people, the second wave, were your parents, who then, lack of better words, mated with humans to then create you in this past life. So this would have been a very big responsibility. Like it would have been very hard. When I see this card here, it speaks a lot about the hardship, and it's almost like feeling a little bit isolated, because think of yourself now, or even like think of myself now, like someone who is very self-aware, someone who understands that there is like an inner child wounding, there is like masculine and feminine energy, there's wounded energies, going into an era where humans were not even aware of heart chakra energy, of loving energy, of compassion energy, of peace, of joy, of experiencing experiences for joy, for love, for connection. That just didn't exist really, or it not really at all, actually, from what I can see. Like it was brought in only through your parents and you. And I actually even feel like if it wasn't for this, we as human beings wouldn't be where we are today. I don't know if we would have just extinct ourselves, because that just seems very, very possible, or we could just be still very much all stuck in that sort of low, gross, I shouldn't say gross, that's a judgment of my own. I don't like the feeling of those, like that. I kind of categorize them as the bloodthirsty emotions, but it really isn't just about like killing people. It's just like that taking is it's such an addictive energy attached to it. It's actually very heavy. And then if you think about like compassion and joy and receiving, like when you actually receive something, it's very light and uplifting. That was an energy that just literally wasn't on the planet until you kind of brought it in. To put it in short, like the planet was very, very dense, very, very dense. And so when I look at these cards here, these two cards, it's so interesting, further cemented to me like that, yeah, like these were kind of like your parents. I feel like I keep seeing this as parents, like the Galactic Council, who worked together to create basically a physical human who would most likely be well received on Earth. Like I feel like they had looked up all the details. Like I feel like they're very analytical, like like trying to give you the best chances of surviving and bringing in this higher consciousness to the planet. Yeah, it's crazy. I just feel like if you think about like a research team, that's what they feel like to me. Like they're really like, okay, we've got to give them the best chance they can. We don't want to send you in like just like I try to think of the expression like in military where they're just like, we don't want to send you in. I can't think of it, but whatever. Hopefully you get what I mean. My mind's blanking on it. And then this one here too, it was like telling me, I feel like I just see like your parents, like one was not of this earth and the other one was. So it really was like you were the first true like human like we would have closer to today, which is really cool. The other thing I was saying is really interesting is as I was like kind of tuning more into like this card here, I almost wonder, and I'm not sure, but I almost wonder if this explains where O negative blood came from. I don't know why, but I do feel like, you know how there's positive and negative blood types? I feel like the negative blood type came from this mixing. That sounds so bad, but I really do think it did. And I do think to this day there are still living descendants, many living descendants from these people originally coming in and breeding with humans. And I even wonder if this is when our genetics greatly changed, where all of a sudden it's just like evolution just happened weird. And people are like, all our genetics just changed so aggressively in a small time frame and now hasn't changed very much since. I wonder if this is one of those reasons. But anyways, that's just like me theorizing. Yeah, and I love this card because I feel like this one's just really talking about here what it says about releasing fear and teaching people that there is a gift of freedom, peace, and opportunity, prosperity of all forms in this life. And I really just feel like that is really speaking to what your divine alchemy was. Like that is what you were here to teach. That there could be peace, there could be joy, there is freedom. There's no need to be scared and backed in a corner and acting out of aggression and fear and violence. Like there's time for consciousness to grow. And then I was saying for pile one, they got these exact two cards, which to me is just a confirmation that you were here teaching the same message. And this would take centuries to have taught. So this card says grandmother, wisdom keeper, and alchemist. And I really do like this card because I kind of really see it's like really like the grandmother of our lineage, of our line, of our human ancestry, like really going back. And also the alchemists being the ones who came in to help create change, for opportunity for us to be able to enjoy life. And so fascinating seeing this because I feel like some people watching this might be like, well, we're still all these things. And I'm like, if you could tune in to the energy of what humans were like at this time, like we look amazing. We look almost damn perfect compared to like the energy I see us having used to be. Like this, we've come so far. And I think that's often why when you hear about channelers speaking about past energies, like saying like we can be really hard on ourselves and there is a lot more growth to come, but wow, if you can see the energy we came from, we're doing really good, thanks to the help of all these other people behind us. And then this one is just talking about learning the joy of life. So it says holy longing, and I love that it's saying like learning to like enjoy things and not be in the needing it's not just desiring, it's like I need this, I'm gonna take it. It's like shifting that perspective, the energy behind it. So that was like the great mission. And then this card here, love this divine parents card, because I feel like that once again just cements so much for me, like that you did come from an off-planet lineage, for lack of better words, and creation of sacred purpose. So I really just see like you were created for a sacred purpose, for a sacred mission, and that was to basically help us be able to hold consciousness in our bodies. Yeah. Okay, so your divine alchemy cards. Well, this one only took me 12 minutes to explain this time, so fortunately, probably didn't keep all the details I had in the first filming of this, but that's okay. Okay, so here we go. Divine Alchemy. We have reddening. We have the red, white rose. Interesting that red is so much of a thing in pink, but this does make sense to me. Heart, like I kept saying, like heart energy didn't even exist. And here I'm already feeling like there's so much talking about bringing in the heart energy with the snake. Like if you think about it, they talk about the Kundalini energy coming from the base of our spines and moving up. I really feel like this is a great sort of confirmations on like what you're doing. You're taking them out of their base chakra and teaching them to awaken and grow all their chakras all the way up. And I really just, that just wouldn't have been an easy mission back then. And I think I keep looking at too, it's like there's a gold ball and a gold ball. That's really, really interesting. Not totally sure what it means, but I feel like it's saying something's important there. Okay, anyways, then we also have, separation. We have darkening and resin. Very neat. The resin, I keep feeling like I see this as like an eyeball. And then in the eye, we see pink flowers. So I just feel like for me, a lot of these are just really just confirming more and more like what we've already said about being here to transform the way of being. Like even if I think about this, there's like a snake and then a bird and this is like the darkening. Like I think like normally one would kill the other, but instead they're both just hanging out in the same place. And also I just feel like there's just so many messages around duality as well as about even teaching them there is duality in the world. And it's like I feel like it's such a hard thing to explain because it's like we literally didn't have, like humans didn't have like, I don't know if we actually didn't have like feminine and masculine energy back then, or we were just so unaware that we like, I don't know, it was so unactivated. Maybe that's it. I don't know. It's so interesting seeing what we used to be. It's like, wow. I just keep saying that because I'm like, wow, like it's almost like we were humans and then we were just empty. Like I was like, there's nothing else that was going on. But I think it was just because it wasn't activated, or there isn't like I was saying, like if no one on the planet had that energy within them, then it was almost like we couldn't learn that energy from them and learn it to have it for ourselves. So it was so important that they came and like taught us that. So it's really, I don't know, it's really neat. Separation card I also find very intriguing. I feel like it's like talking about polar forces, but yeah, I'm not too sure what that one's going on about. Maybe we can read that one. It's always fun to read one of the cards here. Okay, separation. That's what it was. Oh, sorry. I always have a hard time finding them in this guidebook because I'm not great at reading the numbers, the Roman numeral numbers. Okay, let's see here. We're getting close, I think. I think that's... Oh, we weren't far enough, maybe? Oh my gosh, is it actually the last page of the book? Maybe we could just flip there. It might actually be... No, second last page. There we go. Okay, so it says, divide to cut away. Listen to I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. Is there anything that does not separate? Okay, so it says, this card is the great alchemical operation of the sword. It occurs when substances are pulled apart for their higher good, either willingly or unwillingly. The fissure may take place suddenly with a swift blow of the axe or slowly over time with a dull blade. No matter how separatio occurs, it will likely be a painful process for all involved. Images of swords and knives, battles, rebellions, breakups, divorce, and atom splitting are expressions of this card. The good news is that separator prepares the individual for a more conscious union down the line. It releases stagnant energy and allows the parts to see themselves as individuals. This stage is a prerequisite for conjunction of union and love. Through the pain of separation, we come to accept and love ourselves as we truly are. In turn, we love the world. Okay, I was a little confused until I got to the end here, and then it kind of once again just, to my perspective, or in my opinion, confirmed the same message about teaching, where was it? Teaching good news that prepares individuals for conscious unions, and releases stagnant energy. I think that was the big key thing there. We're talking about once again about there just being a lot of chaos, and teaching those that doesn't have to be the only way. Yeah. Really interesting. I feel like a lot of them are talking about learning love. Learning love. That's what I see from these 3 cards. Learning love. Learning acceptance is what I see at this one. Learning acceptance and not just responding out of fear, because they feel like the snake should attack the bird because it should be scared for its life, or the bird should maybe fly away from the snake because normally there should be some sort of not so great interaction there. But it's almost like teaching it that there doesn't have to be an issue between them. They're different, but they don't need to fight. I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. So lastly, I had pulled 2 cards for, let me think. Okay, it was that way. The first card I pulled for roughly where in the world were you when this happened, because happened all over the place. And we got Machu Picchu. I am nourished in both body and mind. I can see my part of the wider universe, and I reap what I sow. That's really neat. So roughly in the world where you were. And so neat, I actually asked for a place that would hold similar energy as you sort of had in this life, in this past life. So it says Tana lots, and it says the places in between are important for my growth. I can release myself from worry and suffering if I choose. I now let go of all that no longer serves me. Yeah, so you know what? I feel like most people know Machu Picchu. It's in Peru. But I am curious to see what the guidebook says about it. However, this guidebook seems to talk more about facts and less about the spiritual stuff. So yeah, it says it's about solar cycles, harvest, universal power, rest, and observation. Let's see. There is little that hasn't been said about the grandeur of the 5th century site of Machu Picchu, a hidden city untouched by invading conquistadors. Oh, maybe it's conquistadors. That's what it is. Sorry. Conquistadors. It was rediscovered as a relatively intact site. Yeah, so it says that the Temple of the Sun and the Room of the 3 Windows are all built in traditional Incan ways with well-finished dry stone walls which are forgiving in earthquakes. All of these structures were dedicated to Inti, the sun god, and Inca, most powerful deity. Inta was all-powerful, and the people relied on him for his solar power, good weather, and hopefully beautiful harvests. The sun mask of the Inti was worn by the head shaman priest or by the king as Inti's descendants on Earth. Wow, that is really interesting. So the other thing I couldn't help but notice is that, what was it? This card that said Sun Child? Interesting. Divine Sun Child. And this one talks about them worshipping the sun god and their children. So interesting. Yeah, just found it kind of neat. Okay, and then this Tanalot. I don't actually know that one. Maybe it seems funny. Maybe it's like very obvious to other people. Oh yeah, probably because it's in Bali, Indonesia, and I don't know too much about Bali. So this one is the very first time. Oh, sorry, this person's talking about their experience. We probably don't really care about that. Let's see. Tanalot perches on a rock by the sea. Its very name means land within the sea, and it is one of those amazing in-between places neither land nor sea, but both. It is said that the 5th century Hindu priest Niratha constructed the temple as he thought it an ideal place to pay homage to the Balinese sea deities. Tana is one of the 7 sacred sea temples, all built along the coast, all examples of both sacred geometry and geography. It is part of a pilgrimage to strengthen your devotion to the gods here to visit each other. Niratha's Hindu teachings centered upon the idea of moksha, the belief that we should strive to release ourselves from suffering and burden. The temples he built were considered embodiments of the god Shiva. One of the symbols of Shiva is a snake, and sea snakes are believed to gather around Tana Lot to guard it and protect all those who visit there from evil. That's very interesting, as you have a lot of cards with snakes on it, and snakes are known to go there and are protectors of the land. So also just kind of interesting. Yeah, well, I hope you enjoyed this reading. I think that's all I have for you. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. You guys have a good one, I guess. And I'll catch you around. Hello, pile 3. So I just pulled some cards for you, and we'll look at them together. So the card you chose for this pile was Key of Life, and it had said that Ankh pretends new life being born through you now. This new life being born in whatever form will enrich your life, bring you more into wholeness and fulfillment. Do not give up on your creative destiny. Stay with it. You are flowing in the right direction, and you have spiritual support from the unseen worlds. Let it happen. And then I pulled more of these Isis cards to get a feel for what you were doing in this past life. So we have this one here, which says Portal of Light. It is only this physical reality that is bound by time and space. We have this one here, which is Pillar of Light. Very interesting. Earth star below, soul star above, burn away all that is not light, transform all into unconditional love, star of Isis descend, your blessings and peace without end. Grace be now, with peace and protection, completely embraced by divine perfection. Very interesting. It's so interesting, like I know this one was talking about time. Oh, look at that. And then you also have this one. Actually, time. It says past life, present power. Ooh, that's a really interesting card to come out in a past life reading. Says, as the soul grows in service to the great feminine and in her intention that all beings be healed and free, it gathers internal resources to assist on the path. These resources include powers and gifts from other lifetimes. You are currently integrating past life abilities. Be open to what is taking place as your soul awakens ancient power and abilities in you. So it's really interesting. So I feel like whatever comes through in this past life is saying it's part of your gifting in this life now, or a lesson you're trying to bring in right now. But I think it's more towards a gift, something that you are kind of bringing in again, but in a different timeline. And then here we have power over 7 scorpions, which is interesting. I always see this as like embracing our inner child and like making it our greatest strength. And then here we have Temple of Carnelian. It is time to trust in your old boldness and courage. Taking risks that feel true to your heart and engaging in practices that make you feel truly and genuinely alive, embodied, and more of yourself. Even if not always comfortable, you're going to help you live in the life you were born to live. And then last here we have this one, and it says Magic and Ritual. Oh yeah, I should also say I did put all the cards back in and toss. So you got technically pile 1's pick card, but it came out again as one of your cards. So it's interesting. So right away, I kind of want to talk about how I'm so drawn to, I guess all these cards, but these cards here where I just keep seeing, I don't know why when I look at these, I feel like I see someone, how do I put it? I see someone who traveled distances and taught people. It's so interesting. I almost would like, if just for the best reference I can give, I almost think of like someone walking from place to place like Jesus, like someone who traveled to a place and sat down with all the local people and was like, let me share my wisdom. And it was done like so differently to how like someone would like do it nowadays, where they're preaching what you need to hear. Like, I just feel like with the open arms here, it's just saying like, it really feels like they were just very level, very real, and very much like, please absorb the wisdom that I am trying to admit to you so that you may take it on yourself and empower yourself. Like, it's just so interesting. But I do feel like this was a feminine past life, which is what I'm having a little bit of conflict with in my own mind, because I'm like, how did a woman travel from place to place, and why were people listening to her so easily? And it's almost like she had the wisdom, or you had the wisdom in this feminine life. And this is definitely a group. Like, that's what's come up for all these past lives. It's like a grouping of people, a wave of people around the world who come in and share this wisdom and frequency, consciousness to the rest. And I feel like this, like, I really feel like this is very similar to like Jesus vibes. I keep saying that. Or like, I think about, I've heard people talk about, I don't know if it's called the Magdalene order or the Isis order. Like, I literally do feel like this is like a group of women who passed on knowledge onto child, but daughter to daughter to daughter. Yeah, and it just like, the time thing's so weird. When I look at this time, I don't totally understand the message here, but I keep getting something along like, you taught people to turn back time. And when I ask, like, what does that literally mean? Like, go back in time? And I think the closest thing I can kind of explain it as is, it's almost like you taught people to hop realities, if that makes sense. Like, there's like all these different realities going on at once. Like, there's a reality where maybe you turned down a job that in this reality that you're living in, you said yes to. And it's almost like this person taught them like how like the world works, the universe works, like, but it was like Jesus level miracles, like turning something into something it's not, healing a wound by admitting a frequency of that wound being healed within them to a person who has the wound, and it being able to heal. Like, I just feel like the energy of this time was more magical. Like, everything, I just see all these cards. There's like, just like, I almost feel like these DNA codes, like, where you could just change them. You could interact with people's energies very easily and teach them how to do it themselves. And I feel like that's what you did. But there was like I'm saying, like an order of you, or a group of you, teaching people this. And it was all about the feminine energy. That's the big thing. And I really, after seeing the last few piles, which maybe if you're just interested in the crazy shit that I said in the last two piles, you'll watch them. But it makes sense after seeing what has come through, that there would be like a wave of feminine energy, because there is such an aggressive energy, which was closer linked to the masculine energy. But honestly, like, it wasn't even, it doesn't even honor the masculine to call it that. It was just very animalistic. And I feel like the feminine energy came in. This feels like, I don't know, millions of years. More time than I, like, my human brain can conceptualize, between the last card readings and this past life that we're talking about for you. So human beings at this point are very different, in this past life. And they were in a place where there was just more magic in the world, and I feel like more like belief in energy and possibilities, that you could try to teach others the secrets of the universe, the way of like changing their life. And it was a lot of it, it's saying it was through teaching them to empower this shadow within. Through their shadow and embracing it, they would be their most powerful. And it seems really neat. And I feel like you just like traveled place to place, but I feel like people followed. Like, yeah, like I wouldn't have called them apostles or anything like that. There just would have been people like you would see today who would just like who find people who are saying really interesting things and follow them. Like maybe how people like love Tony Robbins and like go to all his events because they really appreciate him and his wisdom, and they feel like there's always like a deeper layer for them to learn. I feel like that would be like what people did for you in this past life, is they just wanted to keep being around your energy, and that would even keep them more connected to this, because I almost feel like if they weren't near you all the time, then maybe they'd almost forget the limitless possibilities. So it's really neat. Definitely a big thing around time and changing realities. And even think about how, like, if we do inner child work, like you work on your inner child, that you're actually changing what happened in the past. I feel like that's very connected to this. So let's look at, yeah, you know what? Let's look at these cards. So these were the cards that I chose for you, or I should stop saying chose. I pulled for you. Sorry, I'm getting tired. My lack of enthusiasm is mostly just because I'm starting to get really tired. We have Isis, which is really neat. To me, that might even confirm, because I think you did get the Isis card herself. Which one was it? Not you. Was it you? Are you Isis? No. Are you Isis? I mean, they're all Isis. But I thought one card literally said Isis on it. Maybe I just bloomed it into my mind. I must have, because none of them are saying it. Anyways, I already actually kept thinking like the Order of Isis, or like, yeah, the Order of, I don't know, some kind of like lineage attached to Isis herself, and like women from that lineage. Yeah, and I feel like that lasted for quite some time, like different women, yeah, different families. So Isis, embodied manifestation of love. So to me, it really just confirms about that, the feminine power and the power of energy, of creation energy, of people's own unique energy. Like I think of Kundalini energy so much here, and like really having taught people how to create something out of nothing, like just like so magic. Like that's the, like I don't even feel like the word magic has the same energy. I feel like they would use a different word, and in that word it would hold more energy than the word magic. Magic feels like it's, the word's been ruined. It's like it's not, it's so empty in the English language. It's like been given the wrong name. I don't know. And I think that's even what's the other crazy thing is, I think in this time words held more energy to them. Like when you spoke, there is even like magic attached to the words, for calling it for something more complex than what we do. Like you wouldn't just call this like a crystal, you would call it by its true name. Like it just, oh, it seems like a really cool time in the world. Yeah. Wow, I never noticed how much sorry, just put this up. I don't even know why. I guess I was telling you the example, and I just was realizing there's some interesting stuff going on in the back of this crystal that I hadn't noticed before. Sometimes I'm like, did that change? Or was it always like that? Or maybe it's just different lighting. Cool though, I like it. Yes, so anyways, and then here we have the crested ibis, sacred archetypal element of air. And then we have lunar energies, divine timing, blood mysteries, and we have entering the mystery, dove, neck boot, mother boot. Sorry, I'm so bad at this. And Isis. Okay, so there's also another Isis one. So it's so interesting. To me, I feel like, what am I seeing here? Like, I don't know. I keep seeing like Jesus walking on water, floating over water. Like, I don't know. I just feel like these were ancient old teachings, and somewhere along the line we forgot them. But I do keep getting that we just have more access to information than we did before, or we have in a long time. I think like in this life, this person was teaching this, so obviously we all had access to it. But I guess in other readings, I've seen little parts of when things got lost, but I just wonder, how did we go from this, like from someone teaching it and literally physically being able to do things that defy our reality today, um, in our physical reality? Like, can you even imagine like what that energy was like if you could literally float over water, um, in the physical reality? There's just so much possibility. So it's so interesting. Something really changed to almost change the energy that we don't believe in, that it almost isn't possible, um, physically here anymore, or for right now, I should say. Yeah, very, very interesting. Okay, so the alchemy, your divine alchemy in this life, breath, that's actually very interesting, because I kind of feel like there's so much power in breath, and that is the start of our true power and our connection to everything and creating magic. So I don't know, to me, it's really cool that breath came in. Um, yeah, because I even think when we breathe in, we're breathing in more of that powerful energy into our bodies and we're refueling them consistently. So interesting. And I also do think of like Kundalini. They always talk about breath work being a great way to activate it for good or for worse. So I wonder, yeah, I kind of feel like you actually were teaching breath work in part of this practice, or breathing certain ways. Interesting. I wish you guys in this past life could teach me some things. I feel like I'd be so curious to be one of these students of this grouping of people. Alchemical wedding. This one's really neat. I've seen this kind of energy come up for all the piles, where it's like teaching people the power of bringing both the feminine and masculine energy in together. There's so much power of creation when you truly balance them both and honor them both in your body. And I also think there is just a messaging here around, during the time, I do feel like there's, I don't know, is that true? Yeah, I do still feel like there was an kind of an outbalance of there being more masculine energy than feminine energy, which is actually crazy because there were some strong, powerful feminine figures in this time. But I think if it wasn't for them, then it would be pretty much very masculine energy. And almost like I do feel like there was still like this power over the feminine energy dynamic back then, even within ourselves. So in a male, there was still more like the masculine dominating over their feminine energy within them, and same with the females. So I really do feel like this is once again a big, big lesson of this past life, was teaching others the importance of the balance of them both, and how to be fully complete. And the most powerful version of yourself is to embrace both equally and not dominate one over the other. Saturn, this card's so interesting because I keep seeing this as the death card, like killing or ending a way of being, changing tides. Oh yeah. And it's so funny because I actually look at this as like the feminine energy going and standing up for itself against the masculine. Very interesting. Okay, and then we also have Quicksilver. Interesting, because I mean, it's so funny. I've been just kind of like reading the energy off these cards, so I could be getting them quite inaccurate for how the Oracle card deck intended them to be. But I actually feel like this is like making your own new material. And I think that's like a big thing too, is what she was teaching people, is to create something of your own out of nothing. And I don't even know if Quicksilver is like known for being made, but I just keep feeling like there is like two different materials and mixing them together and creating a new, like a whole new thing, a whole new creation. And so much like that's going back to like that magic energy that I feel like just was like so reachable in this era. Like it's just amazing. Like I can't imagine what it would have been like to live during this time. Like there would have been definitely some huge challenges, but just the level of creation possibility, like the actual miracles and just like crazy shit that you could just create like that if you knew how to. I guess that's the big thing. I don't think a lot of people knew how to, which is why they were coming in. You could just, I feel like the world was their oyster for those who knew how to embrace this energy. Super neat. Okay. Also, so I actually did something a little bit different for this pile. In the previous piles, I asked for a card of where you were from and a place on Earth now that had the same energy. And I actually, instead, for this pile, I felt like there was a lot of people who came mainly from 2 or 3 different places. So I pulled 2 cards asking where would these 2 places have been in this past life, and I got Amazonia, the Amazon, and it says, I am interconnected with the world in an intimate way. I am vital. I can find a way to co-create rather than confront. That's actually interesting because that even goes so much with the theme of this past life, is about creating, not fighting, just birthing something yourself. So that's really neat. So Amazon, super cool. And then the other card I got for another place in the world, Avebury Standing Stones. Avebury Standing Stones. I seek knowledge and receive greater knowledge when I am ready. Greater power means greater responsibility. It is a natural part of life to exclude and include. Discernment is necessary. Super neat. So both cards kind of really talking about creating stuff. So I don't know. I just really feel like literally people did create things. So very neat. I'm actually like, where is I've never heard of the Avebury Standing Stone. So I'll just look that one up in case you're like me and you're like, where in the world is that? Is it literally Avebury? Oh, no, it's in England. Okay, I actually thought maybe it was Ireland for some reason, but England. Location is specifically Wiltshire, England. And it is the biggest stone circle in the world and was built and extended between 2,850 before Christ and around 2,200 before Christ. So that's really neat. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of just, I don't know, for fun to let you know about possible places if you feel at all drawn to either one. All right, sorry, I don't know why I'm just crashing so hard right now. It's not that late here, so I don't know what's going on, but I'll let you all go, and I hope you enjoyed this reading. And if you just for fun want to listen to the other ones because I found them just kind of crazy and out there and cool, feel free. And yeah, guys, have a good one.